Do you remember Planet of the Apes? The 1968 film shocked the world with a story of stranded astronauts, talking apes, and one of the most unforgettable endings in movie history. But decades later, the real lives of its cast turned out just as dramatic. Some became Hollywood legends. Others are gone forever. Let's see the cast then and now in 2026. You may not recognize them anymore. Roddy McDowall as Cornelius. Roddy McDowall was born on September 17, 1928, in London, England. At 40 years old, he played Cornelius, the thoughtful chimpanzee scientist who questions ape history in Planet of the Apes. His performance gave the film emotional intelligence and helped turn Cornelius into one of the most recognizable characters in the franchise. That quiet intensity began in a childhood shaped by war and instability. London was under constant bombing during his early years, and his father, a merchant seaman, was frequently away at sea. The family struggled financially, and Roddy entered films as a child to help support them. Success came quickly with roles in How Green Was My Valley and Lassie Come Home, but working constantly while still young forced him into adulthood long before most teenagers. As his career grew, his private life became a source of pressure. McDowall never married, and rumors about his sexuality followed him through decades of Hollywood gossip. His closest relationship was with actor Montgomery Clift, introduced by Elizabeth Taylor. McDowall became deeply devoted to Clift and even relocated to New York to stay close to him. When the relationship ended, the emotional fallout was severe and left him shaken for years. Late in life, a far more serious crisis arrived. In April 1998, doctors diagnosed him with pancreatic cancer, one of the most aggressive forms of the disease. The illness progressed quickly and left little time for treatment. Roddy McDowall died on October 3, 1998, in Studio City, California, at the age of 70. His body was cremated and his ashes were scattered into the Pacific Ocean off Los Angeles a few days later. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was about $4 million, earned through more than 60 years of acting and photography. Kim Hunter as Zira. Kim Hunter was born on November 12, 1922, in Detroit, Michigan, United States. At 46 years old, she played Zira, the compassionate chimpanzee psychologist who defends the captured human astronaut in Planet of the Apes. Her performance added warmth and moral strength to the story and made Zira one of the most memorable characters in the series. Her determination came from a childhood marked by loss. Hunter's father died when she was only 3 years old, leaving her mother to raise her alone during financially difficult years. Acting slowly opened doors for her, and by the 1940s, she was already appearing in films such as The Seventh Victim. Her career reached its peak with A Streetcar Named Desire in 1951, a performance that won her an Academy Award. Marriage brought both happiness and strain. In 1944, she married William A. Baldwin, a Marine pilot, and they had a daughter together. The relationship ended in divorce 2 years later as work demands and wartime stress created tension. In 1951, she married actor Robert Emmett, and the couple later had a son. Their marriage lasted decades, and they sometimes appeared together in theater productions. Her life ended unexpectedly, rather than through a long illness. In September 2002, Hunter suffered a sudden heart attack. This medical emergency shocked friends and colleagues who believed she remained active and energetic. Kim Hunter died on September 11, 2002, in New York City at the age of 79. Her ashes were given to her daughter, who later became a lawyer and community leader in Connecticut. At the time of her death, her estimated net worth was $2 million, earned through decades of film and theater work. Maurice Evans as Dr. Zaius. Maurice Evans was born on June 3, 1901, in Dorchester, Dorset, England. At 67 years old, he played Dr. Zaius, the powerful orangutan minister who controls knowledge and fears the truth about humans in Planet of the Apes. His commanding performance made Dr. Zaius the intellectual antagonist of the story and one of the most unforgettable figures in the film. His disciplined screen presence grew from a strict and demanding upbringing. Evans was raised in a modest household where his father, a dispensing chemist who also staged amateur theater productions, pushed him toward performance from a young age. That obsession with theater soon paid off when he began appearing on stage and later gained recognition in productions such as Journey's End and Shakespeare performances, including Richard II and Hamlet. His personal life remained guarded and unusually solitary for a public figure. Evans never married and had no children, a choice that fueled decades of speculation about his private relationships. He devoted nearly all of his energy to theater and television work, often touring and performing relentlessly while appearing in productions like Dial M for Murder. In later years, his health slowly declined. Chronic bronchial infections weakened him and gradually affected his breathing. These respiratory complications eventually placed severe strain on his heart, creating a medical condition that doctors struggled to stabilize during his final months. Maurice Evans died on March 12, 1989, in a nursing home in Rottingdean, East Sussex, England, at the age of 87. Doctors confirmed that heart failure linked to bronchial infection caused his death. At the time, he had an estimated net worth between $1 and $3 million, accumulated from decades of stage, television, and film work, including Planet of the Apes and the sitcom Bewitched. Linda Harrison, as Nova. Linda Harrison was born on July 26, 1945, in Berlin, Maryland, United States. At 23 years old, she played Nova, the silent human survivor who forms a bond with Charlton Heston's astronaut in Planet of the Apes. Her striking appearance and expressive performance made Nova one of the most recognizable human characters in the franchise. Her path to Hollywood began early and under pressure. Harrison grew up as the third of 5 sisters in a small Maryland town where her father ran a plant nursery and her mother worked as a hairdresser. From childhood, she trained in ballet and acrobatics while also entering beauty pageants. The turning point came when she won the Miss Maryland title, which brought her to national competitions and eventually caught the attention of Hollywood talent scouts. That discovery led to roles in films such as Planet of the Apes and later Airport 1975. Her personal life quickly became tied to powerful figures in the film industry. While working at 20th Century Fox, she began dating studio executive and producer Richard D. Zanuck. The relationship turned into marriage in 1969, and the couple had 2 sons, including film producer Dean Zanuck. However, the pressures of Hollywood careers and constant production schedules strained their marriage, leading to divorce in 1978. Despite the breakup, Harrison continued appearing in several of Zanuck's film projects, showing a complicated but lasting professional connection. Linda Harrison is 81 years old, and she occasionally appears at film conventions and retrospectives celebrating Planet of the Apes. Her estimated net worth is around $2 million, built from her acting career and years connected to major Hollywood productions. Charlton Heston, as George Taylor. Charlton Heston was born on October 4, 1923, in Wilmette, Illinois, United States, with the birth name John Charles Carter. At 45 years old, he played George Taylor, the cynical astronaut who crash lands on a planet ruled by apes, in Planet of the Apes. His commanding performance drove the entire story and turned the film into one of the most famous science fiction movies ever made. The determination in Heston's character came from a difficult childhood. His parents divorced when he was 10, leaving him to grow up in a small Michigan town with his mother and stepfather. The boy spent long hours alone in the woods and at school activities, trying to overcome his shyness. Theater and sports became his way out of isolation. That persistence later led him to major film roles such as The 10 Commandments and the epic Ben-Hur, which won him the Academy Award for Best Actor. His personal life appeared unusually stable compared with many Hollywood stars. In 1944, he married Lydia Marie Clark, a fellow student from Northwestern University. The marriage lasted more than 6 decades and produced 2 children, Fraser Clark Heston and Holly Ann Heston. Despite rumors that followed many actors of his era, the couple remained together throughout his life while he continued starring in films and later appearing briefly in Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Serious health problems emerged later in life. In 1996, Heston underwent hip replacement surgery. 2 years later, doctors diagnosed him with prostate cancer, though treatment placed the disease into remission. In 2002, he publicly revealed that he had developed symptoms consistent with Alzheimer's disease, a condition that gradually affected his memory and physical strength in the following years. Charlton Heston died on April 5, 2008, at his home in Beverly Hills, California, at the age of 84, with Lydia Clark by his side after 64 years of marriage. Reports later confirmed that pneumonia, combined with complications from Alzheimer's disease, caused his death. His funeral was held on April 12, 2008, at St. Matthew's Church in Pacific Palisades and attended by many Hollywood figures. At the time of his death, Heston's estimated net worth was about $40 million, built from a legendary career spanning more than 100 films. Buck Kartalian as Julius Buck Kartalian was born on August 13, 1922, in Detroit, Michigan, United States, the son of Armenian immigrants. At 46 years old, he played Julius, the powerful gorilla guard who supervises imprisoned humans, in Planet of the Apes. His intimidating presence helped bring physical force to the ape society portrayed in the film. His early life was shaped by hardship. Kartalian's father, a baker, died when Buck was only 11 years old, leaving the family struggling financially in New York. To survive, the young man turned to physical strength. After serving in the United States Navy during World War II in the Pacific Theater, he became a bodybuilder and professional wrestler known as the Hell's Kitchen Roughneck. That reputation for strength eventually opened doors to acting roles in films like Cool Hand Luke. Marriage brought more stability to his life. In 1952, he married Mary Yvonne Bannister, though the relationship later ended in divorce. In 1959, he married Margaret Poloshian, and together they raised 3 children, Aram, Julie, and Jason Kartalian, the latter becoming a film producer and director. During those years, Buck continued acting steadily, appearing in productions such as Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and later the action film The Rock. After decades working in more than 70 film and television roles, he eventually stepped away from acting in the mid-2000s. Buck Kartalian died on May 24, 2016, at a hospital in Mission Hills, California, at the age of 93. His death was attributed largely to complications related to advanced age. At the time of his passing, his estimated net worth was about $1 million, earned through a long career in film, television, and stage performances. James Whitmore as President of the Assembly. James Whitmore was born on October 1, 1921, in White Plains, New York, United States. At 47 years old, he played the President of the Assembly, the stern orangutan authority overseeing the Ape Tribunal, in Planet of the Apes. His commanding courtroom presence helped heighten the film's tension during the trial scenes where human intelligence is questioned. The discipline seen in his performances began during a physically demanding youth. Whitmore grew up in a modest household where his father worked as a park official and expected toughness from his son. At Yale University, he pursued football seriously until a devastating knee injury shattered the dream of a sports career. Forced to change direction, he turned fully to acting. That decision eventually led to roles in films such as Battleground and the stage production that later became Give 'Em Hell, Harry. His personal life was far more turbulent than his on-screen authority suggested. In 1947, he married Nancy Mygett, and the couple had 3 sons, including future actor-director James Whitmore, Jr. Their marriage collapsed in 1971 under the strain of career pressures, only for the two to remarry briefly in 1979 before separating again. Between those marriages, Whitmore wed actress Audra Lindley, with whom he even shared the stage in several productions. Later in life, he married actress and author Noreen Nash, bringing some stability after decades of complicated relationships. In late 2008, Whitmore received devastating medical news. Doctors diagnosed him with lung cancer, and the illness progressed rapidly over the following months. The diagnosis came after a lifetime of work that had already earned him Emmy, Tony, and Grammy recognition, along with Academy Award nominations. James Whitmore died on February 6, 2009, at his home in Malibu, California, at the age of 87. His body was cremated, and his ashes were scattered into the Pacific Ocean. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was around $5 million, accumulated through decades of work in film, television, and theater. James Daly, as Honorius James Daly, was born on October 23, 1918, in Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin, United States. At 50 years old, he played Honorius, one of the orangutan officials participating in the Ape Tribunal in Planet of the Apes. His brief but authoritative presence helped strengthen the political structure of the ape society portrayed in the film. Daly's early life was shaped by strict discipline and religious expectations. Raised in a traditional Catholic household, he grew up under strong moral rules that left little room for personal freedom. Even so, he discovered acting during his school years and pursued theater while studying at several universities before earning his degree. His early stage work eventually led to television and film roles, including appearances in productions such as The Young Stranger. His marriage later became one of the most painful chapters of his life. Daly married Hope Newell, and the couple had 4 children, including future actors Tyne Daly and Tim Daly. However, the relationship slowly deteriorated as Daly struggled with his sexual identity in a period when homosexuality was heavily stigmatized. Attempts to suppress that part of his life created deep emotional strain, and the marriage ended in divorce in 1967, leaving a lasting impact on his family relationships. His health problems emerged suddenly rather than gradually. On July 3, 1978, while preparing to return to the stage in the play Equus, Daly suffered heart failure. He died at the age of 59. His body was cremated and his ashes were scattered into the Atlantic Ocean. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was about $1 million, earned from decades of stage, film, and television work that helped establish the acting careers of the Daly family that followed him. Robert Gunner as Landon. Robert Gunner was born on July 27, 1931, in North Plainfield, New Jersey, United States. At 37 years old, he played Lieutenant John Landon, the loyal astronaut who crashes on the ape-ruled planet alongside Taylor in Planet of the Apes. The character's tragic transformation later in the film became one of the most unsettling moments in the story. Gunner's road to Hollywood began through discipline and service. As a young man, he joined the U.S. Navy during the Korean War, where he appeared in a weekly Navy television broadcast filmed at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. That exposure led him to pursue acting more seriously after the war. He later trained under renowned acting teacher Sanford Meisner in New York, while also working as a professional model. His strong physical presence soon landed him advertising roles, including the famous Marlboro Man campaigns, before he moved into film with a small appearance in Caprice, 1967. Landing the role of Landon brought him sudden recognition among science fiction fans. The film became a global success, yet the role ironically marked the end of his film career. While Planet of the Apes grew into a major franchise, Gunner gradually stepped away from Hollywood work and lived a quieter life away from the spotlight. Robert Gunner died on December 18, 2001, in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 70. The exact cause of death was never publicly disclosed. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was about $500,000, earned from his acting and advertising work. Though his film career was brief, fans still remember him as Landon, the astronaut whose fate became one of the most haunting twists in Planet of the Apes. Wagner as Lucius. Wagner was born on August 19, 1940, in San Jose, California, United States. At 28 years old, he played Lucius, the curious young chimpanzee who questions ape authority in Planet of the Apes. His lively performance brought energy and rebellious spirit to the story, helping younger audiences connect with the film. Wagner grew up in California and developed an interest in acting at an early age. His short stature often led directors to cast him in characters younger than his real age, which surprisingly became an advantage. Determined to improve his skills, he trained with respected acting coaches, including Lee Strasberg. Early television work followed with appearances in shows such as Dragnet, while film roles like Airport, 1970, helped expand his visibility. The momentum continued through the 1970s when Wagner secured one of his most recognizable television roles. He played mechanic Harlan Arliss in the popular NBC series Chips from 1978 to 1983. The series ran for several seasons and brought him steady recognition, while he also continued appearing in science fiction projects connected to the Planet of the Apes universe. Wagner is 86 years old, and he occasionally appears at events honoring Planet of the Apes and classic television history. His estimated net worth is about $1 million, earned from decades of acting in film and television. Woodrow Parfrey as Maximus. Woodrow Parfrey was born on October 5, 1922, in New York City, United States. At 46 years old, he played Maximus, the strict orangutan official involved in the ape government, in Planet of the Apes. His stern performance helped portray the rigid authority controlling the ape civilization. Parfrey grew up in a struggling Welsh immigrant family in New York City. Financial hardship pushed him to pursue work early, and acting became his way forward. By the 1950s, he had started appearing in stage productions before moving into film and television. His intense facial expressions and commanding voice made him a memorable character actor in productions such as Dirty Harry, 1971. His career remained steady through the 1970s as directors frequently cast him in authoritative roles. He appeared in several well-known films, including The Outlaw Josie Wales, 1976, building a reputation as a dependable supporting actor capable of bringing tension to dramatic scenes. Despite his steady work, his life ended earlier than many colleagues expected. On July 29, 1984, Parfrey suffered a sudden heart attack, bringing an abrupt end to his career while he was still actively working in Hollywood. Woodrow Parfrey died that day in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 61. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was about $1 million, earned through decades of stage, film, and television roles. Though rarely cast as the main star, his appearances, including Maximus in Planet of the Apes, remain memorable to fans of classic cinema. Jeff Burton as Dodge. Jeff Burton was born on March 28, 1924, in Worcester, Massachusetts, United States, with the birth name John A. Jones. At 44 years old, he played Dodge, the third astronaut who lands on the ape-ruled planet with Taylor and Landon, in Planet of the Apes. His character's brutal death early in the story shocked audiences and revealed how dangerous the new world truly was. His early adulthood was defined by discipline and military service. Burton spent 11 years in the United States Army, eventually reaching the rank of captain. After leaving the military, he turned toward acting, first performing in theatrical stock productions before gradually moving into television and film roles. During the late 1960s and early 1970s, he appeared in several productions, including the crime drama Coffee and the blaxploitation film Black Hooker. Despite appearing in memorable films, Burton never reached major Hollywood stardom. Acting work remained inconsistent, and like many character actors, he had to rely on other jobs to maintain stability. In later years, he worked for the Los Angeles Parole Department, balancing government work with occasional acting roles. Jeff Burton died on January 18, 1988, in Boston, Massachusetts, at the age of 63. The cause of death was not publicly disclosed. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was about $500,000, earned through film work and government service. Though his screen time in Planet of the Apes was brief, his character Dodge remains one of the earliest victims that set the film's dark tone. Norman Burton as Hunt Leader. Norman Burton was born on December 5, 1923, in New York City, United States, with the birth name Norman Burton Schnall. At 45 years old, he played the Hunt Leader, the first ape hunter seen capturing humans, in Planet of the Apes. His appearance in the opening hunt sequence introduced audiences to the terrifying dominance of ape society. Burton began building his acting career on stage in New York. After graduating from the Actors Studio, he performed in professional theater productions such as Anna Christie and The Quare Fellow. Those stage roles helped him transition into film and television, eventually leading to appearances in movies like Diamonds Are Forever, where he portrayed CIA agent Felix Leiter. His personal life included several marriages. Burton first married Helen Sloan, and the couple had a daughter before divorcing. He later married Shirley Evelyn Spitz, which also ended in divorce. In 1964, he married Grace Claire McLaughlin, and their relationship lasted until her death in 2002. Throughout these years, Burton continued appearing steadily in films and television, including Save the Tiger and The Towering Inferno. In late 2003, he was traveling between California and Arizona on his way back to his home in Mexico when tragedy struck. Norman Burton died on November 29, 2003, at the age of 79 after a car accident near the California-Arizona border, just days before his 81st birthday. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was about $1 million, accumulated through decades of film, television, and stage performances. His role as the Hunt Leader remains the first glimpse audiences ever had of the terrifying ape hunters in Planet of the Apes. More than half a century after its release, Planet of the Apes, 1968, still leaves a powerful mark on cinema and science fiction history. Time has changed the cast, but the film's legacy continues to fascinate new generations of viewers. Which actor from the original Planet of the Apes surprised you the most in the then and now journey? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more classic movie stories and cast updates.